10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
All systems go.
You're listening to Sudbury News Talk.
I want to show you something.
Stand by.
On the morning shift.
Anything
Could happen.
Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift.
Good day, everyone. Welcome to Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift. I'm AJ Walsh. Glad to be here with you. Thankful that you're here with us on this Friday, January the 23rd. I don't even know if we're broadcasting on YouTube this morning. It looks like we might be. Says I'm connected to YouTube, so I hope that we're on. My studio said, hey, there's a problem connecting with the server. My website seems to be hacked. We just lost our Facebook on Friday. So it looks like whoever's trying to meddle with anything that we're doing, you're doing a good job. So you get a gold star. That's probably what you got in school. And you were probably a teacher's pet and whatever. So thanks for all your hard work, because it pays off when you put your mind to something and you focus on it. You're able to achieve your goals. So you're finding that, at least, right? Even though the teacher you probably had gave everybody a gold star, you were hoping to get one for your efforts. And so I'm going to applaud your efforts today in getting us canceled from Facebook, in trying to stop us from having our news aggregating website, which is a way to just give everybody a convenient way to access local news. And so I'm just getting messages on all my computers of different things. And so, but the show goes on. The show will go on. And now I have a particular thing where I need to be able to broadcast what's going on here on my laptop. And I won't be able to if I don't find this way to do this. So just hang on with me for 1 second. Maybe I'll do this. Maybe I'll find it and then be able to do it that way. I don't know. I have to figure this out on the fly while I'm on the radio live at CKLU 96.7 FM, cklu.ca. If you download the Radio Player Canada app, you can listen to us live, or take us with you and listen to us anywhere, anytime on your favorite device. Right? So let's see. I don't know. This particular thing is here. Switcher cast. I think that's what it is. I need to get it. I already have it. So that's weird. Yeah, just open it. There we go. So hopefully, and I think I got it now. Wow, I can't believe I did that on the fly. I get a gold star today. I give myself a gold star, and there we are, and we can do all the things that we needed to do, and we're going to do them without apology. We're also streaming live, as we said, on youtube.com, and then later found on demand on YouTube, along with x.com, and on our news aggregator, as long as it's up and running, as long as the people that are doing whatever they're doing behind the scenes to shut the website down for some strange reason, all it's doing is sharing local news. So I'm not sure why someone would have an aversion to sharing local news, but hey, it takes all kinds. I'm not sure. But we'll have a fix for that. We'll get somebody who's way better than I am at running websites. And if you're listening to this and you're like, hey, I know a thing or two about websites and I could definitely help out, you could just email me at sudburynews@gmail.com, sudburynews@gmail.com. And we'll see if we can't work together to make sure the news can continue to go out to our Sudbury audience. As you know, Facebook policies in Canada, due to our federal government's policies, the Liberal government has made the sharing of news on Facebook or Instagram that it's not possible to do that. The only country in the world where we have Facebook where we can't share news, whether it's local, regional, national, provincial, international news, right? So it reminds you of a certain type of a government that would do that. So you have to connect the dots yourself, and we'll do our best to connect the dots today, as we do each and every day, as this is your conversation on your station, CKLU. And I'm AJ Walsh. Glad to be here with you. Thankful that you're here with us this morning. Let's dive right in with a little bit of weather so we know what to expect today. Apparently, or at least I think I know it's going to be freezing cold. Let's see if I'm right, and we'll be back right after this. And Sudbury Weather brought to you by SudburyWeather.ca. And yes, I was right. Currently, it's minus 23. Feels like minus 36. Yes, that's true. Minus 36. And a mix of sun and cloud expected for today with a 30% chance of flurries this morning, becoming sunny this afternoon. Temperature falling to minus 25 this morning and then rising. Wind chill near minus 37. Risk of frostbite as we would have expected. Tonight, clear. Wind northwest 20 kilometers, becoming light this evening. Low minus 32. Wind chill minus 32 this evening, minus 41 overnight. And then tomorrow, sunny. 15 kilometer an hour wind, which would just give just enough to make it even worse, the wind, the cold. High of minus 19, wind chill minus 41 in the morning, and then minus 23 in the afternoon. Obviously, frostbite in minutes, according to Environment Canada. Then overnight, clear. That's tomorrow night overnight. And then Sunday, cloudy with a minus 17. 40% chance of flurries on Monday, high of minus 12. 30% minus 12 on Tuesday, 30% chance of flurries. Minus 15 on Wednesday, mix of sun and cloud, and a minus 15 as well, mix of sun and cloud on Thursday. That's your forecast. Very cold for the next day or two. And so make sure to take precautions, plugging in your car, dressing appropriately. Don't plan any long excursions outdoors. If you do, like I said, dress appropriately. All that stuff, you know what to do with common sense when it's very, very cold. We'll be back with news headlines, your comments, and more right after this. Alrighty, we are back, and good morning, Northern Hillbilly. Yes, you are first. You are first, and that is great. Talking about gold stars this morning. There's many to go around. I even got one, so that's great. Monique, good morning. Sudbury, Betty, good morning. To a couple of our other commenters here, and always nice to catch the channel. Hard to find this morning. Yes, I'm sure it's going to get harder and harder to find. There's no doubt about that. And good morning. Let's see. We got Hazel here. Good morning with prayer emoji. Much needed. Much appreciated. And Marianne. Hope everyone is doing well. Everyone's saying good morning to each other, which is great. Continue the camaraderie. And Bingo, good morning, y'all. It's Friday, and Vax Daddy Zion Don said he would bomb everyone. Very interesting. Okay, well, I guess we'll get to some international news here in a second. And good morning, Marianne. That is, yes, I'm glad that I'm on. My studio came on and said, oh, it can't connect to the server. Do you want to stop? I'm like, no, thank you. Good morning, Dan. Thanks for being on. And Linda here. Good morning to you. A few people that I don't see all of the time, or maybe just seldomly, or first time on. For all our first time people joining us, welcome. We're just in a transition here where we used to, our main audience was on Facebook. Now it has to be on YouTube due to the Facebook shutting our Facebook page down due to local complaints, probably coming from local media and our local government, but I don't know. Nobody is transparent about things they do behind the scenes, and people they don't like, they just vindictively go ahead and try to cancel people, which is part of the culture they belong to, and that's good for them. They do get a gold star for their efforts. And Northern Hillbilly says, I was never good in school. I never was until I actually cared about what I was taking, and then everything changed. And we'll try not to give up. I do have to announce that I'm working on a new podcast, which pretty much exclusively comes from the book of Isaiah in the Old Testament, from the prophet Isaiah. And I'm working with an expert, someone who dedicated his whole life to the study of that prophet and that book. His whole life is just the study of understanding what he was saying. And basically, he was speaking to you and me, which is kind of really cool. So a lot of us think of the book of Revelations as maybe something that speaks to our time. This is incredible how it ties everything you might have ever known together. And it's just like once you understand what he's saying, it's like he's in the room just talking to you about what's going on in Davos, what's happening geopolitically, what's happening everywhere in Canada, things like that. It's like, what? Sounds like he was here. Sounds like he was just like one of us. And he is, and he was, because he saw it. And he tried to explain what's happening from God's perspective, which is what a prophet does, right? So I'm working on that, which I feel like I got a lot to learn to have a podcast of that nature, but I feel that many people will benefit from understanding. It'll bring a lot of clarity to what's going on. It'll give a lot of peace to people who are in fear from what's being shown to them in the media. And I'm part of that because I know every day we talk about things that are crappy. People are doing things, bad things, as there is an elite class that are basically just dominating and taking over the world. Like I said yesterday, it's a cartel, whether it's on an international, national, or even provincial or municipal level. There are cartels. That's what we have these days, and that's what we've evolved into. And there's, they like to portray that they're doing things for the benefit of everybody, but it's usually just for the benefit of themselves and their friends, unfortunately. And that's just the culture that we've kind of come to after all of these years. And we're living in that. And so we're trying to make sense of things and just call a spade a spade. Why do you want all these green initiatives in the world? Why do you want wind and solar and green, EVs and all this? It's because there's a certain segment of the population that's going to get rich off of it. And it's the people that are making the policies that are getting rich off of it. That's the main reason. It's the poorest way to get energy that we've ever come up with. And we call it green, even though it's not, because it's way less green when you take into account everything that goes in to making these, whether it's a solar panel or a windmill or whatever else you're trying to do that's green. These batteries for these cars, to mine the materials in order to make the batteries. That's a hit on the environment. And then what do you do with the batteries afterwards? These aren't conversations we have because the media is bought and paid for by our government. The government are the ones making the policies, investing in these initiatives, getting rich off of them. So it's basically a cartel. It's people working together to dupe you and I, because what money are they using to accomplish all these things? Our money. And in order for us to go along with it, we need to feel there's some kind of benevolent thing, that there's a big reason we're saving the planet. That's why we need to give all our money and have a communist totalitarian government to tell us what to do and spy on us and lock us down and do whatever they want and inject whatever they want into us because we're saving the planet. You know how weird that sounds? Because it is weird and it's wrong and you need to wake up. And that's all I got to say about that. Like Forrest Gump. All right. Okay, we're just going to dive in to stuff today. And Monique, good morning to you. I just want to get people's comments up on the screen, but if people are coming on, just want to also give some morning shout outs like Maurice here. Good morning to you. And so it's not that I'm not ignoring anybody here at all. I just want to make sure that everybody knows that they're welcome here, no matter what your point of view is. Even if you come on and say, no, I think wind is the way to go. I think, like I saw a friend of mine, which made me I just felt weird feelings about. She shared Mark Carney's speech from the WEF and said that she has never been so proud to be a Canadian. And I just thought, oh my goodness, oh my, you probably don't watch the show. That's the first thing I thought. And then second is, I guess that's what they're intending. You're one of the people. This is all working. All of their propaganda and their lies and everything is working just like they wanted it to. And I'm seeing an example of it through somebody that I thought should know better, but I guess it just doesn't work that way. Evelyn, good morning to you. And Moose Hahal. Sorry, I can't pronounce your handle. Mashallah. Good morning to you. And you'll have to forgive me if you have a handle that's, I'm not the greatest handle translator in the world. So beware if you're commenting and I'm going to say good morning or whatever. And if it is something that you care about, you just put in your comments, this is so-and-so, good morning. All right. So good morning, Homestead Trad Wife. Much appreciated for being on. Yeah, I appreciate all of the people like kind of, cheerleading the show and cheerleading what's going on. It's just something that you would do as well if you had the resources to do it. And I know that, and that's why we're all part of this together. So this isn't a one person thing by any means. This is just a bunch of people getting together in the morning and wanting to make sense of the world that we're living in and knowing that it's very complicated. But I guess going back to what I was saying before, even if you feel that all these things are right, you're welcome on the show. And you're welcome to comment. We've had the odd person from time to time go, you guys are nutso. And I'm sure the odd person listening on the radio is thinking that as well, because it sounds very different from CBC or CTV or Global News or the Toronto or any news outlet. And I hate that. But that's because they're all saying the same thing, because they're all paid from the same source and they're all run by the same people. So they're not going to give you a different perspective. They're not going to give you a true perspective. They just are not. They can't. Even if they tried, they'd get fired. We see that time and time again. You wonder why people are let go from the CBC? It's because of something they said. They went outside the lines. They didn't get the gold star. You know, the teacher said, you're not allowed to talk that way. You're not allowed to say anything different than what we're telling you to say on the teleprompter. You don't need to know who's writing what's on the teleprompter. You just need to read it. Now go read. You know, and if your opinion is totally in lockstep with whatever the handlers want you to say on the media, well, then they'll let you go. Okay, you go because you know you're one of us. And good morning, Vin. Looks like our comment thing is behind one or something. But it is what it is. Okay, so let's get on with the show every time. Oh, it's Marianne. Marianne, good morning. Yes. Hopefully I'll remember that. Not sure if I will. But thanks for letting me know, and I really appreciate that. Good morning to you. And it's Pat who's bingo. Okay, yes. So again, it's going to be hard. So in the morning, if you just want to say, hey, it's Pat, good morning, or something like that, or hey, it's Marion, good morning. Something along those lines. Other than that, I'm going to read your handle, and it is what it is. So, yes, Northern Hillbilly saying the Uniparty, and one quick dub, good morning to you. Okay, so let's get with the story here this morning. As we go to Sudbury.news, our news aggregator, and it is blank today. Whoever was doing their best to hack in and do whatever they did, like I say, you get a gold star because you did a good job. And whoever got you to do it is proud of you. Very proud. So continue the good work, and we'll continue to do whatever we do on our end. And so we'll just come back with a better website and better ways of reaching people, and more people will know because we're trying harder. If you just leave us alone, we would have just been doing our thing and, you know, maybe not tried as hard, but now you're forcing us to try harder, which you probably didn't want that result, right? That's what happens when you try and, you know, put out a fire. The fire will just kick up other places and you might cause a worse fire. And yeah, so that's it. So speaking of what we're going to be talking about today is Carney in China. That's this is what, you know, a little piece of what people are saying about Canada from a U.S. perspective. Somebody that I think, you know, has a pretty good perspective. I don't agree with everything they say, and I don't agree with what anyone says all the time, and I shouldn't. But I think when they're just trying to understand Canada from the outside, this is what it kind of comes across as. Here's Matt Walsh.
Is Carney going out of his way to antagonize the United States and deny the reality of the power dynamic here, which the Secretary General of NATO just spelled out? Not that anyone needed to spell it out. Well, no one in Canada actually voted for what Carney is doing, by the way. During the campaign, Carney's rhetoric was the exact opposite. Less than a year ago, Carney described China as the single biggest security threat facing Canada. Watch.
Mr. Carney?
Well, we're in a security section. I think we didn't have a chance to talk about anything internationally. I think the biggest security threat to Canada is China.
China, you say?
Yeah.
And when he was asked to explain this about-face recently, here's what Carney said.
Hi, Prime Minister. Sarah Ritchie with the Canadian Press. If you cast your mind back to April during the election campaign, I know it feels like a long time ago for me, you told Canadians that China was the biggest security threat to this country and to Canadians. Do you still believe that to be the case?
I think we have to manage all our threats. There are a number of threats from a country mentioned, Russia. We've non-state actor threats, which are material. I guess, you know, one of the advantages of having your security clearance is you're better informed about some of the threats, and I highly recommend that anyone either in the position of responsibility or seeking it has their security clearance.
Well, it doesn't make sense, obviously. It's an extremely awkward non-answer, the kind you'd give if you wanted to hide something or had no legitimate explanation for what you were doing. It's also an odd response because if you notice, Carney is afraid of even mentioning the word China. The reporter asks about China, and then Carney refers to China as the country you mentioned. Something similar happened at the WEF the other day. The interviewer mentions China and Russia, but Carney only addresses Russia. Watch.
President Trump says, oh, you know, Greenland's under threat from Russia, even from China. Is that for real?
I would say that there are threat. Russia is without question a threat in the Arctic, without question. Russia does lots of horrible things, and I'll take the opportunity to condemn their unjustified and horrific assault on Ukraine, almost at its fourth year. They are a real threat in the Arctic, one against we need to protect, which is why we have 364 5-day air, sea, and land presence. It's why we're adding to our submarine fleet, adding to our air fighter fleet, why we're building out over-the-horizon radar to protect from Russian missile threats and others, and why we will work with our NATO partners.
Again, he's clearly skittish about even mentioning the word China less than a year after he labeled them the biggest threat facing his country. So what's going on here? Well, as it turns out, it's probably not that complicated. A company that Carney has a massive stake in called Brookfield owes the state Bank of China more than $250 million. It's $250 million. It's an awful lot of money. It's part of a deal to refinance Brookfield's properties in Shanghai. As Yahoo Finance reported, quote, Carney's stake in Brookfield looks to be worth more than $10 million, around $3 million in Brookfield stock, and options worth about $6.8 million as of December, based on publicly available information. It's possible that he has additional holdings in Brookfield that are not subject to disclosure because the entities are not reporting issuers. And while Carney has put his assets in a blind trust since taking office, it's not really blind in any meaningful way. I mean, he knows what's in the trust, and he knows exactly what would make the asset perform better, namely selling out his country to China. Apparently, the only ethics restrictions on Carney are that, quote, he should be screened from involvement in any file directly implicating Brookfield, including if Brookfield was competing with others for government business or assets. Well, that's it. As long as Carney isn't directly reporting, working on policy relating to Brookfield, he can sell his country out to China as much as he wants. And that's exactly what's happening. Now,
right? So that's exactly what's happening. And Canadians really do need to wake up to this. This is like, you have Carney, not only Carney, who's making money hand over fist as part of Brookfield. And people say, oh, no, he doesn't make money anymore off that. That's because you don't know what you're talking about. Go to moosechart.com, moosechart.com, and David has done a remarkable job of laying out every dealing Mark Carney has had and does have, and all of his connections, whether they're business connections or personal connections. And conflict of interest is about as high as you could ever get on the conflict of interest radar. Canada is to the point where, you know, he's going around the world making business deals for Brookfield in the name of being the Canadian Prime Minister and using Canadians' money to enrich himself and his friends. And then he brings into his cabinet all people that have investments in the same things he does, and they all get rich off what they're doing. And you might be listening to this going, well, they would never let this happen. How could they let this happen? We know you got to be wrong because it just can't be. That could never happen. Well, just go to moosechart.com and, take a little bit of effort instead of just, putting your hands over your ears and your hands over your eyes, and just look. It's that simple. You just got to go look for yourself. And then you probably won't be posting a video of Mark Carney giving a speech, putting down Donald Trump at the World Economic Forum and saying, I've never been so proud to be a Canadian. You probably just won't be doing that anymore. If you just really see what's going on, your country's been hijacked, taken over. It's been hijacked and taken over before, but there was at least a way you can get it back before. But whenever you lose any laws for freedom, whenever you lose a freedom, whenever you lose a law that stands to protect you against things like this that are going on, whenever they're able to get away with what they're doing, whenever you don't hold them accountable, it's harder then to turn the ship around, if not impossible, unless, there's losses of lives to take it back again. And that's what we've been celebrating every Remembrance Day, basically, is that type of thing that you have to go through in order to fight for freedom. But although that is a complicated conversation as well. We might have been fighting to make certain people rich, unfortunately, during those wars, right? So this is why we have these discussions. Moose on the Loose talks about this, but so does Mario. But I think I'm just going to dive into Moose on the Loose, David, because we have been already talking about him, and does such a great job with his journalism. And he is from Canada, so if you're saying, why are you using a Zionist from the United States, as Northern Hillbilly pointed out, and I don't disagree with that. All of these people belong to different organizations, some more benevolent than others, but it's what's going on in the world. Now, as you watch this, I want you to keep in mind that what's going on in politics, what has been going on in politics, what's going on in the world is nothing short of taking a page out of the WWE. Right? If you've ever watched professional wrestling, you know that they're acting. They're taking on a character's role and they're portraying it to an audience who, a lot of them think it's real. A lot of people who go to wrestling still think it's real, meaning the conversations are real. The animosity is real. I know it's a real sport, so I'm not going to get into that. But the dialogue and the storylines and everything is not real. It's all scripted. It's made up. It is what it is. These guys go out afterwards. They're best friends or whatever. They know what they're doing. They know who's going to win afterwards. And as you listen to David talking about these things, just remember that we don't know for certain what's actually real and what's scripted in the world of politics. I can't emphasize that enough. That all the world's a stage, and these are actors on the stage. And the media sells it to us as if, just like the WWE has that media component and they have the person interviewing them as if it was all real, So we're trying to get to the bottom of things, but from a Canadian perspective, I don't think anyone does it better than our good friend from Moose on the Loose, which I do have his, the YouTube version, which I can make very large, which I'm really thankful for. So let's see here. So we got him. Get the sound going. We'll get him up on the screen here. There you go.
Has become the laughingstock of Canada once again. Welcome back to Moose and Loose. My name's David. Today we got Donald Trump uninviting him to his peace coalition. We got more clips from the WF. We got some other stuff here. Let's jump into this. It seems very likely Mark Carney is going to call an election within the next 4 or 5 months, 6 months maybe. We've got a bunch of things here. This one, Winnipeg mayor makes plans for American refugees fleeing ICE. That's right. So scary, the ICE, they're coming to get the Americans. Gotta flee to Canada. These are leftist Americans who are absolutely crazy. Mainstream media is going to pick this up, run with it, and try to scare liberals, once again, voting for Mark Carney. We've got Tony posting this, which I thought was pretty well said. It says, Canada, our closest ally, just walked straight into a trap. The so-called strategic partnership announced by Prime Minister Mark Carney's Beijing trip is a perfect case study of how the CCP manufactures dependence and then calls it cooperation. Just so you know, China has previously pushed Canada with crushing tariffs. All of a sudden, China magnanimously offers relief on a temporary conditional basis in exchange for access, concessions, and and silence. There's no alarms going off from the mainstream media that China had 100% tariffs on Canada. No, it's only Donald Trump that's evil. And so, yeah, this is a trap. We're getting in bed with China now because of Mark Carney, and this is exactly what he wants because he's already in bed with China. He got a $250 million loan from China for Brookfield Asset Management, not to mention all the companies that Brookfield's involved in China. So with that, we've got Brian Lilly posting this. The Carney Liberals are in campaign mode. This is a text that just went out from their list. They're promoting his Davos speech and harvesting emails. Watch Mark Carney's speech and add your name if you agree. We've also got this one, Liberal Campaign College. This is getting pushed out. Our next national virtual campaign college is coming up on January 24th. Gearing up for an election. Mark Carney came out with a speech here. This speech, we're not going to watch the whole thing because it's actually quite painful to watch. It's mostly about 70% in French and then 30% in English, and it's all interspersed in between. It's annoying to watch, but to sum it up, he used the word inclusivity 12 times. It seems he's very scared about losing NDP voters, and he's very patriotic here. He's going to paint Donald Trump as the big bad wolf, and he's the Canadian savior, and try to pull back his NDP support.
What makes Canada a great country? It's a great country for everyone. It's the greatest country in the world to be a regular person.
Except this guy invests in America, 91%. Put your money where your mouth is. He sure didn't.
You don't have to be born rich or to a landed family here. You don't have to be a certain color or worship a certain God. Canadians believe in the value of every other Canadian. Their boundless potential to make this great country even better. Our ancestors, despite their differences, believed in each other and in us. There are long periods of history where these values can prosper unchallenged. Ours is not one of them. Our values must be fought for.
Here he is. He's painting the narrative, scare Canadians, the evil Donald Trump, even though Xi Jinping had 100% tariffs on Canada. Forget about that. The evil Donald Trump. This guy can't even be bothered to put a Canadian flag pin on. It's always the Order of Canada. Even giving his speech here.
That's what we are doing. That's what Canadians want. Canadians are up for it. Our history traces an arc of broadening inclusion from biculturalism to multiculturalism, from being British subjects to becoming Canadian citizens, from being two founding peoples to being many peoples living in true partnership with Indigenous peoples.
He's really pushing hard here on NDP talking values because he's scared. He's losing those people. He can't get a majority without them. Let's jump ahead in his speech here.
When we're Canadian, inclusive, fair, ambitious, Canada grows. Canada and the United States have built a remarkable partnership in the economy, in security, and in rich cultural exchange. But Canada doesn't live because of the United States. Canada thrives because we are Canadian.
That doesn't make any sense. That's like saying a polar bear thrives because it's a polar bear. That means literally nothing. And this is in direct response to what Donald Trump said.
Canada gets a lot of freebies from us, by the way. They should be grateful also, but they're not. I watched your prime minister yesterday. He wasn't so grateful. But they should be grateful to us. Canada lives because of the United States. Remember that, Mark, the next time you make your statement.